Howdy folks, it is Diecast Buffet here again, and after a rain-delayed, wild Michigan race, Tyler Reddick gets it done, his first career win at Michigan. What a fun event. That was such a good NASCAR race, unlike the week before. Besides the finish, of course, that race to win diecast most likely will be offered, but a little bit of a buyer beware. Most likely will not be in the Authentics line, so if you want to get it, you're going to have to pre-order it for the Gold Series. Don't wait for the Authentics, because as of right now, they don't make the 2311 diecast in that line. Pretty sure it's going to get made. And then, of course, you have the 124 scale as well. So make sure to pre-order those diecasts over there at Circle B Diecast and use promo code DiecastBuffet, and you can save on shipping. Let's talk about it here. What a interesting race, man. You know, Michigan years ago, like 2019, 2020, it really put me to sleep, okay? Very low horsepower, full throttle in the corners. I miss this type of Michigan. When they actually hit 200 miles per hour, they go in the corner, they're on the edge of control. I mean, we've seen Hamlin and Larson just literally spin out and crash. We even seen a flip with Corey Lajoie. That was fun to watch. I'm glad he's okay, but hey, I can't help it. I'm a NASCAR fan. Anytime I see a flip during a NASCAR race, like live, oh, I get excited. I can't help it. It's part of racing, right? It's like a hard hit in football. It's a part of the sport. That flip, though, was straight out of the early 90s, like on the back straightaway at Daytona or something. I don't think I've ever seen a car just flip that easily by itself live on television. Like, that was some early Gen 4, late Gen 3 era stuff there. That was crazy. So I'm sure they'll get it fixed. I don't know if it was something to do with the wind or something broke, but whatever it was, that was interesting to see live. So Tyler Reddick gets it done. He asks William Byron in the late race restart to get it done. But the overall race was really fun. You know, when I do these post-race reviews, I don't break it down stage by stage by stage. There's plenty of other, platforms and channels that do that. To me, I just kind of like to just kind of give a roundup, so to speak, of my thoughts of the whole event. I thought the racing was really good. I mean, they were going for it. Literally, 5 laps at Michigan was more exciting than 398 laps last weekend at Richmond. I'm not even being sarcastic. If they were to bring 2 Michigan dates next year, I'd be okay with it. Have a doubleheader. I could care less. The racing's fun. These high-speed tracks, the next-gen cars, they really do perform well at. Aggressive on the restarts, and just seeing, like, the tire fall off, the strategy, Kyle Busch, taking the 2 tires, trying to leapfrog the field. Tires actually mattered at Michigan. I don't remember this being the case years ago. Michigan was repaved around 2011, 2012, so it's finally starting to age a little bit. The racetrack is. Usually they bring a harder tire. It's such a high-speed place. You don't want to, have massive tire fall-off. Fontana always had tire fall-off because the racetrack was the original pavement they had back in '97. So Michigan's kind of like the complete opposite. And I believe, it's a little bit of a Larry McNugget, this is the first 2-mile race on the NASCAR calendar for Michigan that has not had Fontana around since, I believe, 1996, because the first race was 97, I believe it was. So if that's the case, that's the first time since 96 that they have had a Michigan Cup race without Fontana having the 2-mile configuration. Will they do the short track in the future? Who knows? But regardless, first time in quite some time, the only 2-mile race track on the circuit. It was a whole lot of fun. Good crashes, hard racing, stuff you usually don't see at Richmond. Literally, there was not a caution for incident at Richmond, I don't think, until 2 to go. That just shows you how boring that racetrack is. And when I hear rumors that they're going to be pulling one of the 2 Richmond race dates, possibly for an international race, I'm okay with it. And this is exactly why. This is why every time we have a Richmond race, it's just, but you go to Michigan, it's not Daytona, it's not Talladega yet. I thought it was a really entertaining event. And speaking of Daytona, that's the next race. It's going to be chaotic. 2 to go before the playoff cutoff line. There's a lot of drivers who don't know what they're going to be doing next year, perhaps. And you have a whole lot of talent in the Xfinity Series and the Truck Series. What's really happening in the Cup Series, and not to get off topic here, is you're pretty much having a case of there's not enough rides and there's way too much talent. So you're seeing drivers just get let go. Just, I mean, what is it? Sam Mayer's already left JRM. Sheldon Creed's already left Joe Gibbs Racing. The drivers, they're just rotating through. And what's going to happen is, if you don't win a race every year, there's going to be an Xfinity driver or a Truck Series guy that's just going to come up and take your spot. So it's kind of fascinating to see. And why that's relevant is it puts even more pressure on restrictor plate racing such as Daytona. This is going to be the first plate race, get this guys, since April. So this is the longest stretch I think ever possibly in modern NASCAR history of waiting this long between plate races. So that's going to, I think that's going to ratchet it up. I think it's going to have a lot of intensity. And you think about it, Atlanta, I believe, opens the playoffs. So 3 weeks from now, they'll be racing another plate race. And then Talladega is in round 2. So I want to say it's 3 plate races within 7 weeks. There's going to be a lot of wild card racing. And then, oh, by the way, the Southern 500, the Darlington race, that's going to be the true official cutoff event. It's weird. Like, we've seen upsets. We've seen the Eric Joneses win that race before. You go back throughout NASCAR history, though, it's traditionally the championship favorite guys. It's the Denny Hamlins. It's the Kyle Larsons. It's the top of the line drivers. Years ago, the Jeff Gordons, the Jimmy Johnsons that truly win Darlington. So I don't know what kind of race we're going to get. Who knows? It's going to be fun. This will be the first Darlington non-playoff race, I think, since 2020, maybe? So will that change how the drivers race? Would they be more aggressive? Would they be less aggressive? We'll have to see. So I'm curious what y'all thought about the Michigan race. Make sure to comment down below. I think Daytona's going to be crazy. I think it's going to be crazy because you've had these drivers who haven't had a plate race in like 4 months. So you have the Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s, the Michael McDowells, you have these really talented plate guys, and they have not had their discipline on the schedule since Tyler Reddick won at Talladega. Yes, they've had road courses. You know, some of these drivers are special at road courses, but are you really gonna go to Daytona, mind your P's and Q's, be happy with a top 15 with a clean race car, and then go to Darlington and expect to win? No, you're gonna go all out trying to win Daytona. It's going to be fun. I can't wait. And that's part of like 4 straight weeks of really good racing. Michigan, Daytona, Darlington, and then Atlanta. So after the absolute embarrassment of what Richmond was last week, and I'll quickly touch on the update for Richmond. Austin Dillon got his win for the playoff eligibility taken away, but his win is still historically his. They're going to appeal it, so that might change. We might have another update next week. My honest thoughts on it, on them taking the playoff win away, I hope they give it back to them, and here's why. Because it would just create more drama, and it would just ratchet up Daytona even more, because then it would put even more drivers in that must-win category. So I think for the sport, as like a business perspective, I think it'd be a good move for them to actually give it back to them. I don't think it would hurt it, because it would give them plenty of drama and storylines. Will they do it? Probably not, but who knows? I still think Dillon should keep it because, look, I'll end the video with this. A lot of people were mad at Austin Dillon for doing what he had to do to win Richmond. But the reality is this: NASCAR is the one that put them in this spot. They're the ones that have said for a decade now. 2014 is when the win and in playoff scenario came in, with the playoffs being kind of like a March Madness bracket. The reality is they're the ones at fault. They're the ones that basically told the drivers for a decade that if you win a race, you're locked in. That means they could sell sponsorships for the playoffs. That means they're in the top tier of the point standings. The teams, they get revenue based on their standings. And then there's stipulations within the charter agreement based on their point standings, how much money they get as well. So there's a crap load of things that are behind the booth, so to speak, behind the television lens, that affects these race teams based on point standings. So winning a random Richmond race could hypothetically pay way more than winning Daytona. It just depends. It just depends where the team's at, where they're at in the charter agreement, point standings, everything. I don't think Dillon's really the one to blame. I think it's the actual the rules that they're told to play by. That's just my honest opinion on it. I think if the reality is this: we never saw this in 2012 and 2013 that I can remember, when the chase format, or 2004 to 2013, where the chase format was just be in the top 10 of the points, top 12 of the points. Pretty simple, right? We never saw Tony Stewart, as aggressive as he was, dive bomb a corner 4 car lengths back to dump a guy, knowing that if he doesn't win this race, he has to go tell his team, his owner, his sponsors, all the... Well, he'd be driving for himself, most likely, but he has to basically tell everyone, yeah, I didn't do everything physically possible to win this race. NASCAR puts him in that box saying, hey, you want to make the playoffs, you have to be willing to do whatever it takes. And not to go on a diatribe again, go back to the point I made earlier in this video, how there is a absolute pile of drivers that are really talented. I mean, there's ARCA guys, truck guys, and Xfinity guys that are younger, and they are more talented than generations before them at their times. So what I'm trying to say is, if you don't win a race, if you kind of just do the Eric Almirola route and win maybe a race every 2 or 3 years, it's not good enough. It's not good enough, and you're going to be pushed out. There's way too many drivers that are cup level ready right now that cannot get a ride. That's the reality. So it puts the drivers in the position where they have to pretty much just say, Control, Alt, Delete, I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. That's my honest take on it. I'm curious again what y'all think about maybe that as well. I'll go ahead and end the video. Thank you all for watching. Huge congratulations to Tyler Reddick. Make sure to pre-order the diecast. I'm pretty sure it's going to get made. The Kansas win from last year did not get made. I don't know if that will be in the Authentics line. I'm like 99.9% sure it won't. So pre-order if you're a Tyler Reddick fan, because I think it'd be a cool race win. I think it's the second win for McDonald's in the Cup Series since the start of the millennium. I think so, because Bubba won Talladega, and then Reddick just won Michigan. I could be missing one, but that's all for now. Thank you all for having, part of your day watching this video. I know I look like a jabroni. That's fine. Appreciate it, guys. Have a blessed one, everybody. Diecast Buffet. Signing off.